The humid New Orleans air, thick with the scent of jasmine and decay, pressed in on me as I watched the black sedan disappear down the oak-lined street. I had just dropped them at Louis Armstrong International, my daughter Ava and her husband Julian. They were on their way to a week-long tour of Napa Valley vineyards, a trip I had meticulously planned and paid for. The first-class flights, the boutique hotel overlooking the rolling hills, the private wine tastings, every last detail, every single cent was mine. I had even packed Julian's ridiculously specific activated charcoal toiletries myself. I stood in the grand foyer of our Garden District home, the silence of the high ceilings amplifying the frantic beat of my own heart. My phone vibrated in my hand, a text from Ava. My breath caught. "You won't be joining us. Julian prefers we keep it intimate, just family." The words blurred. I read them again, and a third time. Just family. The phrase was a surgical blade, expertly severing me from the very definition of the word. I, the woman who gave her life, was not family. I was an accessory, a sponsor, a travel agent, and now an inconvenience. They had used me to get what they wanted, and then cut the cord with the cold precision of a text message. I didn't shatter. Something far more terrifying happened. A chilling, crystalline clarity settled over me. I walked from the foyer, my steps echoing on the heart pine floors, and went into my late husband's study. From the bottom drawer of his mahogany desk, I retrieved a thick, sealed manila envelope. Inside lay the deed to this house, the house Robert and I had poured our souls into restoring. It was signed over to me, and only me, in an ironclad trust. Ava didn't know that. She and Julian assumed, with the blissful arrogance of youth, that the house had passed to her. I had let them believe it, told them I would make things simple after her father passed. That was my mistake. That was before Julian had hollowed my daughter out and built a shrine to himself in her place. I stared down at the envelope, my hand perfectly steady. "So you prefer to keep it intimate," I whispered to the empty, silent room. "All right. Let's see how intimate you can get without a roof over your heads."
I rearranged rooms, then act surprised when I couldn't find things, making me feel forgetful, old. He started calling me Clara, a deliberate stripping away of my maternal title, and Ava, my sweet Ava, let him. I became the invisible engine of the house, stocking the pantry, paying the bills, tending the garden, while they slowly wrote me out of the script of their lives. The breaking point? The moment I knew I had to find a different path was when I overheard him on the phone in the courtyard. He was laughing, "Yeah, she's still here, puttering around in the dependency," he'd said to some friend. But not for long, Ava's finally realizing it's time to streamline things. You can't have a masterpiece cluttered with relics. Relic. That's what I was to him. A piece of old furniture to be discarded. I didn't cry. I didn't confront him. I retreated to my room and unearthed the envelope Robert had given me. It wasn't just the deed. Tucked inside was a letter written in his familiar, elegant script. "My dearest Clara, this house is our fortress and you are its queen. Never let anyone make you feel like a guest within its walls, not even our own blood. If Ava ever forgets who she is, it is your duty to remind her forcefully of who you are. Defend your space. Your voice is not negotiable." Still, I had waited. I gave them one last chance with the Napa trip, a final extravagant test of their character, a test they had failed spectacularly. My phone buzzed again, pulling me back to the present. A new text from Ava. "Moncane, please, we need to talk, just the two of us." My thumb hovered over the screen, then I typed a reply. "The Camellia Grill, noon tomorrow. No sentiment, no softness, just a time and a place. If she wanted to talk, she would do it on my terms, in a place of my choosing." The next day, I sat at a small table by the window of the old diner, a place we used to go for milkshakes when she was a girl. She arrived late, hiding behind oversized sunglasses, her posture radiating a defensive tension. She slid into the booth across from me. "I'm sorry," she said immediately, the words feeling rehearsed. I didn't respond. I simply took a slow sip of my iced tea. Not only when you're scared. You show up when things are hard, and you stay. She nodded, wiping her tears. Can I leave this here? She asked, holding up the photo album. I paused, then took its familiar weight from her hands. Yes. She stood, hesitating at the door. Thank you, Mama, for opening the door tonight. Good night, Ava. After she left, I sat in the stillness, the photo album heavy on my lap. I turned a page and saw a picture of her, dressed as a sunflower for a kindergarten play, her smile radiant and unguarded. And for the first time in what felt like an eternity, I let myself weep. Not for the pain, but for the possibility of release. Somewhere beyond the wrought iron gates, beyond the broken years, I felt the quiet stirring of something new, a fragile dawn after a long and starless night. The next morning I met the new owners. The Tulane professor and his wife were kind, their eyes filled with a genuine respect for the house and its history. We walked through the courtyard together. This garden feels like it was loved for a very long time, the wife said, touching a fragrant gardenia blossom. We promised to be good stewards of it. That's all I ever wanted, I said, and I meant it. When I returned to the garçonnière, Darren was there, waiting for me, like a storm cloud. I need to talk to you, he began, his voice laced with aggression. I held up a hand, stopping him. No, Julian, you need to leave. You have no right to be on this property. You lost that privilege. You can't be serious. What about Ava? What about me? We poured our lives into this place. I laughed, a short, sharp, humorless sound. No, Julian, I poured my life into this place. Robert and I did. You just decorated it. His face contorted with rage. You manipulated my daughter. You isolated her. You tried to turn her into a weapon against me. You thought you could erase me, but you miscalculated. You mistook my kindness for weakness. You'll regret this, he hissed. No, I said, my voice dropping to a near whisper. I regret letting it go on for so long. I didn't want revenge, Julian. I wanted respect. And when I realized I would never get it from you, I chose peace instead. He stared at me, defeated, the bully finally facing a wall he couldn't break. He turned and walked away without another word. I closed the door, my heart pounding with the fierce, liberating thrill of a battle finally won. Weeks turned into months. Ava didn't move back in. Instead, she got a small apartment of her own downtown and found a job at a women's shelter. She started therapy. She started the hard, unglamorous work of rebuilding herself from the ground up. She would come over on Sundays. We'd sit in my tiny courtyard, not talking about the past, but tentatively building a new present. One Sunday she came with an envelope in her hand. What's this? I asked. It's a lease, she said, a proud, nervous smile on her face. For a little 2-bedroom cottage on the other side of the garden district. I can afford it on my own, and I was hoping you'd be my roommate. Tears sprang to my eyes. You bought us a home? She nodded. I wanted you to have a place you didn't have to fight for. A place that's yours simply because you are loved and you deserve it. I hugged her. My daughter, my strong, resilient, returning daughter. As I stood in the doorway of our new home a month later, watching her plant new rose bushes in our small front garden, I finally understood. It was never about the house or the vacation. It was about the sacred space a person occupies in their own life. It was about the line between love and ownership, between support and control. And sometimes the most profound act of love is to burn everything down to save the one thing that truly matters.
Sometimes you have to lose a house to find a home. And sometimes when someone who got lost finds their way back, not with excuses, but with a new map they drew themselves, you don't just open the door, you build a new one together.